Let's review a 3-in-1 USB-C memory card reader from DriveGenius. This is ArtIsRight. Before we start, subscribe if you're new and hit on the bell icon so you'll be notified every time I upload cool new videos like this. DriveGenius have reached out and asked me to review their memory card reader, and because I'm using these type of product in my daily workflow for both still and video, I said yes because it may offer me a great alternative solution that is priced really well in the market, and hopefully this will offer the same thing for many of you guys watching my channel too. What comes in the box is a pamphlet manual, a warranty card, which they do give 24-month warranty. It's kind of neat, and also the memory card reader itself. The memory card reader, what I really like about this is that it's built out of an aluminum chassis throughout. The insert itself is built out of plastic, but this is a really strong, durable card reader. And this is uncommon at this price range. Most of the time, what you see at this price range are all built out of plastic. So this is something really great about their card reader. The other thing, though, that I have a comment about this is that their USB Type-C cord is a little bit short. It's about 5-inch. So if you're using with a computer on a table like the one that I have here, that's not a big deal. If you have a desktop that's below the desk, and if you don't have a USB Type-C connection in the front, well, that may become a little bit of a cumbersome experience. So that's my one feedback about this, is that the cable is a little bit short and you may have some limitations there. The card reader itself can read 3 separate types of card: a CF card, an SD up to 4.0, and a micro SD up to the 4.0 standard. Beyond that, what you do get out of this is a maximum of 5 gigabits per second on a USB 3.1, which generally equivocates itself to about like maybe 400 megabytes per second. But you know, most of these cards, they're not going to be that fast. The fastest one we really see in the market is generally around 300 megabytes per second or so. You can purchase this directly from their website, as you see here, but personally, if you ask me, I would recommend going through Amazon because it's priced really amazing on Amazon, and they also have a coupon as of this filming, so that's just something to think about. I'm also going to show you a speed test here too, and some of the things that I found out. The thing is this: when you have a multi-card reader like this, and this is not something that DriveGenius have done or better or worse than any other brand, it's pretty much very similar to the other ones. When you use one card, you can generally get the maximum speed from the card, but when you plug in multiple cards, the speed tends to like drop and start to divide between like the max speed that's possible. And I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. But before then, I like to point out one more quirk about this that I find interesting, is that the CF card just plugs in right at the top like there. There's no like mechanism to release it or anything like that. It's just plug in and pull. But when it comes to the SD card slot and the micro SD, rather than putting it in right side up like so, you would put it in upside down, and it is a spring-loaded mechanism. I do like the spring-loaded mechanism part, but I do find it interesting that they can't really orient it up right side up in the correct way. This is the very same way on the micro SD. You have to put it upside down, and it goes in and is spring-loaded like so. But having a micro SD card reader, I mean, it's not a card that is fairly common in many cameras, but having it out there is kind of really neat, just because then you have access to those kind of really obscure small card right away, and you don't need to get an SD card adapter to use with it. So another helpful thing there. When you have this plug into the computer, you will see that it lights up in green there, and I have 3 separate type of card plug in here. I have the CF card, an SD, and also a micro SD plug in right there. And we are going to do a speed run. I'm going to start out with my SanDisk Extreme Pro CF card. This can read at around 160 megabytes per second, and we'll see how the card reader does. So with one card, we can see that the speed is already going up pretty high there at around 140 megabytes per second sustained. It does go up and down a little bit. This is perfectly normal. What I'm going to do now is add in the SD card, and this one can generally read at around 170 megabytes per second. Let's see if we get these two combined speed together, which should be like close to 300 megabytes per second. So obviously when I add this in, you can see right there that it doesn't even come close to that. It's sustaining at usually around 130, 150 megabytes per second or so. And what this really tells us is that even though you have a card reader that can read multiple cards and can do them simultaneously, if you want to get the fastest transfer speed possible, just copy one card at a time, because I'm going to show you one more thing here, and I will add in a micro SD card that can only read at 90 megabytes per second. The moment we throw that into the equation, you will notice that the speed, the maximum, just pretty much drops down to 120 megabytes per second max. This is a limitation on the chip inside these devices itself. So regardless of the brand for the card reader that you buy, you are going to run into the same situation here, where it's now dividing the bandwidth that are available based on the lowest card and however many cards you're trying to copy at the same time. For instance, if I start to cancel one out, you will see that the speed will still be at like around 115 or so, 128, it jumps up a little bit. But if I cancel the slowest card, you can see now that the speed is now really jumping up to like 130, 148. So that's just kind of lessening copying files to the computer from memory card reader. The best thing to do is just only copy one card at a time, even though your card reader can take multiple cards. But so far, in reviewing this product, I really like what they have to offer. I think the construction is really well, and I'll be adding a few of these to my arsenal, meaning that I will be buying them personally to use because these are amazing value product, and I think that many of you will find them the same way too when you really start to look at these card readers. Like I said, the only feedback that I mentioned earlier is that the USB cable is a little bit short, but if you're only going to use it in this environment, I think it works perfectly fine. If you have any questions or comments about this, leave them below. Give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you're new. And remember, in art we trust.